What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Carrasco Ranch. My name is Robert. For those of y'all who are new here, channel's mainly about fishing, hunting, and anything outdoors related concerning the ranch, concerning hunting, concerning fishing. As of right now, we're focusing mainly on deer hunting tactics, bringing in more bucks. That's what's in season right here in South Texas. That's what everything is about. Right now, it's big time deer hunting. The rut's pretty much close to peaking. So we're really getting into the deer hunting aspect of things. So if those are things you want to see more of, definitely consider subscribing. Definitely turn on your notifications if you would like to see more videos like this. So those of y'all who are subscribed to my channel, y'all may know that I'm super into hunting, and I've been hunting hard for the past 2-3 days right now. And I have a couple stories for y'all. Yesterday I went out and hunted. So I had a little doe fawn come out. She was out there eating corn for about 5 minutes or so. Started getting a little nervous, started looking off to my left. I was like, okay, well, something big is gonna hopefully come out. And no, nothing came out. Another 5 minutes go by, then she starts getting nervous again, starts pacing back and forth. Start looking over to my right. On my right, it's really brushy. And all of a sudden, this big old 8-point comes out. He's not a huge buck, but he's a decent sized buck. Excuse me. He's a 3.5-year-old 8-point. I got some footage and some trail cam pictures that I'll put up once I do get a buck down on the ground. I'll basically upload all that to make a video. But he's a real beautiful buck. He comes out. He's there for about 15 minutes eating corn. Definitely could have taken a shot if I wanted to, but considering he's only 3.5, I thought I'd give him another year, try to get him up to 4.5. I did get some opinions on that buck. Some people say it's 3.5, some people say it's 4.5. It's really hard to kind of tell. He's a difficult buck to judge, but when I do get that video out there, feel free to leave comments on what y'all think he is. Anyway, I ended up letting him go, and not even 30 minutes after he left, I get a buck behind me. For whatever reason, he decided to come right behind me, came up on my trail that I came to my blind, to my stand, and just blew. I mean, he was just a powerful, just blow. And he blew, and I didn't get him on footage because he caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting him to come out on that side, and I didn't have the back window open, so I just barely tapped open that window, and I see who it is. It's my target buck, guys. He caught a wind of me. He basically turned around, hauled butt, went straight into the brush on my left. It's really thick brush. I mean, you try going in there, you're gonna get cut up. My heart just sank when I saw who it was. This buck, I don't really care so much about score. I think all bucks are trophies, especially when you put in the time and effort to hunt these deer. But for those of y'all who are interested, this buck is at least going to score at least 140. I'm being generous by saying I'm being modest by saying he's a 140 to 150. Honestly, he's probably closer to 160, but I'm just going to be modest and say he's between a 140 and 150. But he's a beautiful buck. Trophy buck in my opinion. Like I said, all bucks are trophies, but I know a lot of people are interested in the scoring of bucks, so there you'll have it. And then this morning, I came out and hunted again, and tell you guys, my season is going a little crazy, but so that happened yesterday. Today, this morning, I was out here early in the morning, got into the stand, waited around, didn't see much. Then the fog started coming in really heavy, about 7:15, 7:30. So for those of y'all who don't know, down here in South Texas, when it's chilly and foggy, perfect time to rattle those horns. So that's what I did. I got down from my stand, got on the ground, hid behind a tree, started rattling. Well, not even 2-3 minutes after I rattled, I hear something running through the grass. So I have tall grass, it's about waist high, so I can always hear when things are coming. It's really it really gets your heart racing when you hear things like that. So I heard something running. I knew it was a buck. Heard some tree limbs break. He's coming in to fight. He heard those antlers. He's coming in to fight. Well, he gets hung up. I don't hear him no more. He stopped. So I was like, okay. So I got out my grunt call. And when you grunt at these bucks, you don't want to be too aggressive. You want to make them feel like they can come in and dominate that fight. You don't want them to make them feel like they're less superior than the bucks that are fighting. They want to come in and win. So I got out a young buck, gave him a young buck call. I I got him walking again. I could hear the grass moving. He wasn't running, but he was walking. He was at a slow pace. He was coming in. I was like, okay. And remember, guys, it's really dense fog. Here in Texas, South Texas, it gets really bad. I mean, sometimes you can only see 10 yards in front of you, 20 yards. Fog gets really bad down here in South Texas. So I gave him that grunt call. I could hear him walking, and I heard him stop again. He paused. I was like, okay, he got hung up again. So what I did is I went ahead and got him, called him in, grunted at him again with a young buck call, and nothing. Didn't hear no more movement. I was like, man, I hope he didn't turn the other way. So I was like, well, let's do this. I went ahead and got the antlers again, and I basically gave a real light rattle. I knew he was coming in, so I knew he was closer. I didn't want to spook him by being too loud, being too aggressive with my rattling. So I gave him a little light rattle. Would you believe it not, guys? The buck was standing about 30 yards in front of me, broadside. As soon as I made that rattle sound, he was looking straight ahead. I'm sitting here. All I see is his head just swing back and look at me. We looked at each other like, oh shit. And he bolted. And in my head, I'm like, you idiot, you didn't freaking see this buck. Like, he was a shooter. He wasn't my target buck, but he definitely was a shooter. I couldn't tell you his score. I can't tell you how many points he had. I just got a good glimpse of him, and I knew he was a shooter just when he ran away. I could tell, honestly, he was a shooter. So that's how my weekend went so far. I hope to be back out there. I start vacation here pretty soon, so I'm gonna be back out in the woods every day, trying to get a nice buck for you guys. Try to put a video together. I have some footage for y'all. I just got to put it all together once I get a buck on the ground. All right, guys. So I'm gonna try to speed this up because I'm starting to lose a little bit of daylight. But for those of y'all who are already subscribed, y'all know that I provide some type of inspiration or motivation once a week in my videos. For those who don't know, I upload 2 to 3 videos per week. One of those videos, I include some type of inspiration or motivation. So the quote for this week is, "Don't let the fear of failure be greater than the excitement of success." So with that being said, guys, don't be afraid to take risk. Greatness and success takes risk, guys. You're gonna have to sacrifice something. You're gonna have to put yourself out there in order to achieve success. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna get into this video. In this video, we're going to discuss does and the importance of does during the hunting season and throughout the year, and the importance of how they play a role on your property. We're also going to discuss when you should not shoot does. There is a time when you should not shoot does. People suggest you shouldn't shoot does. I personally I'll tell you how I personally do things out here as well. So of course, everything, guys, is a case-by-case situation depending on your property, the nutrition on your property, the buck and doe ratio. There's a lot of things that go into doe harvest. It's just not as simple as, oh, I have 5 does, I can take one out, or I have 20 does, take one out. There's a lot of things that go into it. Of course, it's a case-by-case situation, but in general, I'm just going to tell you what's the consensus for the most part on when you should and when you shouldn't take does. So the early season, we're going to discuss the early season. So the early season is before the season's really picking up. Most people suggest taking does in the beginning and at the end. Late season, early season. So in the early season, if you have just an abundance of does, I mean, you just have a buttload of does, you may want to remove 1 or 2 so you can make some more room for more bucks on your property. With that being said, though, if you don't have a lot of does, then you definitely don't want to take any during the early season. You would want to take them at least towards the end, after rut, maybe even after post-rut into the late season. That's when I would consider taking does. The reason for that is if you don't have a lot of does on your property, chances are you're not going to be bringing in a lot of bucks during the rut, because you need those does there. And of course, if you don't have a lot of does, they play even more of an importance during that rut, because you would need those does so they can bring those bucks in when they hit estrus, when they start going into heat. That's when you need those does. Another reason you would like to take some does in the early season is because you don't want to be disturbing your property during the peak season. Once things really start to heat up, you don't want to be disturbing your property during the peak season when the bucks are coming out. So you'd want to eliminate those does or dispatch those does early on in the season, so you give your property that time to rest until things start to pick up. And again, guys, this is a case-by-case situation. Some people, it might be beneficial for them to take does early on in the season if they have an overabundance of does. Some people, it may not. It might behoove them to wait till the end of the season to take any does. Like I said, guys, if you don't have a lot of does, I highly recommend that you wait to the end of the season, past post-rut, even past post-rut sometimes, to take any does. The more does you have going into their estrus cycle, the more pheromones are going to be released, and the more scent that's going to be out there for the bucks to pick up. Now, the time you do not want to shoot does is during peak season, pre-rut, rut, sometimes even into post-rut. You don't want to be shooting does. You don't want to be trampling your property. You don't want to be disturbing your property during the peak season. You don't want to be, the bucks only come out, they're really careless only a certain amount of time throughout the year. You don't want to be putting your efforts and time into taking does. You don't want to be causing a disturbance on your property during this time. This is a time when the bucks are, they're full rut, they're active. You don't want to be putting your scent out into your property during this time. So how I personally do it on my property is I don't harvest any does pre-season, pre-rut, peak rut, post-rut. I wait till after that if I'm going to harvest any does. And the reason for that is I want as many does as I can have on my property going into estrus. It seems to work for me, guys. I have plenty of bucks coming in because of that reason. I have plenty of video, trail cam footage of just bucks just running wild, just picking up scent. You can just see them picking up scent. It's awesome to see. So that's what I would recommend if you want to change things up on your property. If you're not liking how things are going, maybe you can try this method. There's different things for different applications. Not one thing's going to work for everybody. You just have to choose what works for you. This is how I personally do it. And if you think you want to change things up and you want to try this method, maybe waiting towards the end of the season to take any does, let me know how it works for you. Let me know if you start to see more bucks on your property. So guys, drop it down in the comments. When do you prefer to take does? Do you prefer to take them in the early season? Do you prefer to take them in the late season? I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are, or curious how y'all hunt y'all's property. Drop it down in the comments. I'm interested to see how many people take them in the early season and how many people take them in the late season. Alrighty guys, well without further ado guys, I appreciate y'all stopping by, appreciate y'all watching to the end. Like always, be careful, be good, take care, God bless. We'll see you next time.